So if we review what we've done so far, if I go to the canvases, we see that we created this handle down here. The next part I'm going to do is this release lever right in here, and then we will create this part, and then we'll create the roll pin that goes through here, the 3 rivets that go through here. So those are easy components. We'll do this next component. If we can't do the complicated, the difficult components, then it doesn't matter if we can do the easy components. So we'll tackle the difficult ones, get those done, and go back and do the easy components. Alright, so let me turn off the visibility of the canvases, and I'm going to go back to the top level of the assembly, and I'm going to create a new component, and I'll right click and I'll say new component, and I'll make this a standard part, and actually it will end up being a sheet metal part, but I'll go ahead and do standard for now because I don't think Fusion 360 is going to unfold it anyway. And for the component name, I'm going to call this cam release lever. Okay, so that's my active component. I'm going to hide this component to get it out of the way for now, and I'll expand this component, and I'll do a new sketch on the XY plane of this component, and we'll come around here, and I actually want to project a sketch from the previous component to locate this part. And that's where I might have made a mistake here, in that I generally prefer to create a master level sketch or a top level sketch that controls the location of my geometry. Since I didn't do that, and I'm a little bit wary of projecting the sketch from the previous component, I need to just locate that hole a second time. So I probably should have created a master, what I call a skeleton sketch, to control all of the geometry. But so this little hole right here, is what has me concerned. So I'll go ahead and I'll put a circle there, and I'm going to have to dimension all of that again, which I really try to avoid doing. But let's go ahead and we'll put a dimension 0.1875, and then we'll dimension the location of it. And I'm going to just go ahead and put these 2 dimensions in, the vertical and the horizontal dimension. And let's see if we can get the dimensions from the previous part. So I'm going to go to that sketch number 1, or maybe it was sketch number 2, and I'm going to right click and tell it to show dimensions, and I'm not sure this is going to work out, but I'll try it. And so I don't see that, so let me just get what those dimensions were, and then we will put those in. I want to allow a little bit of clearance here too, and so let's change this one to or actually I might have to go back and change the previous hole, but let's make this one 0.132, and then I'm going to dimension. I put the dimensions in, so let's edit these dimensions. Let's do this at 3.275 for the location, and then for this dimension let's do that as the 1.015. So be careful about what relationships that you build between the various components, because you could end up making a change that causes issues. On the other side of that, you might want, whatever change you make to a previous component to also go downstream and to affect the next component, which is what we have here. Alright, so I'm going to then draw a rectangle around this, and actually let's put the rectangle over here in space for now, and I want to change all of that rectangle to construction, and then I'll drag this over the circle And I'm going to dimension then the distance from this line to the center of this circle as 0.1. And one thing I don't like, well, many things I don't like about Fusion 360 as we've seen, but one of the things I don't like is I thought I selected this line over towards this end, yet it put the construction line all the way over to the other end of the line, which just is really irritating that it does stuff like that. But it is what it is. And then I'm going to dimension the height of this rectangle as 0.31, and then I'm going to dimension the distance from the center of this circle over to the edge of this line, and I'll do that as a distance of 0.9. So we see this end of the rectangle is fully defined, and then I'm going to dimension the overall length of this rectangle as 3.375. Okay, so I have that dimensioned. I'm then going to draw an arc in here, and before I do that, let's do another line in here, and I'm going to put it about right here, and I'm going to come up about like that, and I'll change this to construction line. And it might be useful to turn off these other bodies so that we don't see those components. For now, we're not ready to put the assembly joints on here so that the mechanism will actually move. Let's do a 3-point arc. We'll do that arc from here, and I'm going to do that over to about here, about like that. I will dimension this arc, radius 1.5, and then I'm going to do an arc, and I'm trying to decide whether I want to do this as an arc or a circle. I want to create a center point arc, so I'll do an arc, center point arc, and the center of that arc will be up here at the end of this line, and then it will start over here and it'll come over something like that. I want to make sure these two arcs are tangent, so I'll do tangent. I'll select this arc, make a tangent to that arc. I will dimension the radius of this arc, and that was 2.5. Alright, then I want to dimension the distance from this circle over to this line that we used to locate that arc. I'm going to do that as 1.5, and I prefer to really have more geometry than this constrained, but we'll continue on, and hopefully the next step we will be able to constrain our geometry. So I'm going to draw another line. I don't really need this line in the line that I'm drawing now, but it will help keep track of where our geometry is at. So I'm going to change that to construction line. So I tend to draw a lot of construction lines, going back to the drawing board back in the last century. We were always taught to use construction lines on a drawing board, and I still do. So I'll do a tangent arc off of this arc, and I'm going to bring that down to about right here. And then I want this arc to be tangent to this construction line up here. So I'll do tangent. This is tangent to this construction line, and then I will dimension that. And I wasn't sure, I meant to make sure I did that as a center point arc, and I'm not sure that I did, but we'll find out on the next step. So I'll go ahead and dimension this, and I didn't, so that I meant for the center point to be on this line. But we'll put that in a minute. So I'll do 1.125, and then I'll do coincident this point to this point. That all turns black. It's all fully defined, but I'm not seeing exactly what I expect in this area, so I will need to figure out where I made a mistake in this area and correct that mistake. So I examined this. I want this arc to actually be up here higher, and I'm going to change this dimension from 1.5 to 1 inch, and when I do, that arc comes up here higher, which is more like what I wanted. And so let's go back and look at all of our dimensions. So I have this is radius 1.5. This is the center of the circle from the origin, 1.015, 2.5 for this radius. I have 1.125 for this radius, and I have this arc tangent to this line. So then I'm going to drag this down here about like that, and then I'm going to draw a line from here over to about here, and then I'll click and drag an arc up to the end of the previous arc, and I want to make these two tangents, so I'll do tangent between here and here. I'm going to dimension the distance from here to here, and I just want a little offset distance, so I'm going to put 0.015, and I'll dimension the radius of this arc 0.05. So that completes then sketch number 1 in our clamp release lever. So I'll go ahead and finish that sketch, and I will save the file, and then we can go on to sketch number 2.